Hey, big brother. Here is your 6 pill. And before I did anything to it at all, just kind of wanted to do a baseline test to see how it's doing before I do any work to it. And the input reflect is actually great. The input is tuned well. Okay. I hadn't checked the output yet. The output tuning. I hadn't checked the reflect on the output yet. But basically I'm driving 100 watts into it, okay? 100 watts PEP. From the 1 pill driver out there. And I'm already seeing remnants of the imbalance already. I keyed it up twice before I press record. Just hello, like that right there. The feedback circuits are still very warm. I can't keep it on the feedback circuits no more than about two or 3 seconds. My rule is if you can't keep your hand on something. I see that one's a little cooler than this third one right here. And this one right here is just a tad bit warm, not at all. A lot of heat's coming off those right there. Ooh, wow. Oh God. I think the amp's in oscillation. Shit. Oh yeah. That is why, my friends, I need to get me an amp clamp. I can't believe I don't have one. This right here was actually my attempt of an amp clamp. Can you believe it? And I didn't read it well enough. I think I was in a hurry when I bought it. That's just a AC amp clamp, but wow, that's unique. These 4 transistors are not hot. This section right here only went into oscillation. Shoot. Oh, my thermometer. I'm glad you sent this up here, man. I mean, I know you sent this up here not thinking nothing was wrong at all. You were just wanting me to check it out and show the drivers going into them. Let's see here. Yeah, that transistor is 116 degrees. This one right here is only 94. To show you what I'm saying is so. And the next section right there, 96, 97. So yeah, this section right here was going into oscillation. And glad I noticed it and unplugged it before anything bad happened. If you don't catch that right away, that's what makes stuff go poof. Okay, and looking at everything, this middle section is the one that's actually hooked out of phase from these two. But that doesn't matter. That's not going to mean that this one is going to be more in balance than this one. That's not what that means at all. And as you can see, this is I mean, I can only speculate. I can't say 100%. This is probably why there is no telltale, I call them balancing resistors, but the reason why I call them balancing resistors is because they're going to let you know when the amp is out of balance, because they're going to blow. on the input and output tuning ports there. So, alright, man. Well, I ain't gonna strip the whole box down, but I'm gonna go ahead and convert it to a 6-pill the way that I know best for me, that I've already done a few of that's worked great for me, man. We're gonna do what we already spoke about. We're gonna take the output transformers out and put 1.5" in. We're gonna go on a 4 and a 4 on the inputs and outputs. And I got a weird hunch about this transformer right here. It looks like a different transformer than these two. I could be wrong about that. I would have to test it and see. It could just be that one's cleaner than the other two, possibly. And I'll probably end up putting some 2-watt. These are 1-watt resistors right here. It's always good to at least put 2-watt. Yeah, this whole section heated up, man. I could feel the heat coming off of it. So that shows you right there, brother. If you would have went keying in this thing, man, it would have failed on you pretty quickly. So I'm glad that you didn't, bud. But we'll get it straightened out and get everything balanced for you, man. I'm hoping the transistors are. Hey, brother. Starting to dig into this thing here. I just kind of wanted to point out, when I disconnected the output transformers from the hot boxes, I guess you can say, the hot strips, I noticed pretty quickly that they really wasn't, I mean, they're soldered, but they really wasn't soldered on real well as in durability. These are probably, I would say, one of the most easiest transformers I've ever had to remove. Sometimes it's a little tricky getting transformers out of a circuit without messing up a pill strip or some of the front foil on the transformer, but these are fairly easy to remove. I mean, and one of them looked like it was already ready to move without putting any heat on it at all. But they're electrically connected, but just a little loose for my liking. I just kind of wanted to point that out. When you don't have a lot of pad here to solder to. If I ever do etch boards, which I do plan on doing, I think I'm going to still use strips, pill strips. It still gives you more ground. You still have that ground of the board for the transistors. But just kind of want to point that out before I remove this last one. Alright, buddy, we'll be back. Alright, brother, got some somewhat bad news. I couldn't go any further without at least double checking these transistors. I mean, it is the heart of the whole amplifier. And now I see why heck, this was yesterday. I want to say that I do remember, I believe it was this section that was going into oscillation. I'm pretty sure. Like I said, this happened yesterday. My memory isn't the best, especially from all the stuff I've done since yesterday, but I do remember it was either this section or this. But anyway, regardless of that, these 4 transistors match close enough with each other. Okay, we have a 21, a 23, a 27, a 23. Okay, those are good to go. I feel safe with that. This section is not good. Okay, all right, I've got it hooked up to the left transistor right here. Okay, we got the emitter lead of the Atlas hooked to the ground of the board, just so you'll know. The HFE is 3. Very, very low. Okay. Alright. So that is a very, very low HFE transistor. I wouldn't feel safe using that with anything but maybe a driver for one of my personal amps or something if I ever use something that low HFE. Alright, here's your second transistor. Now this one has some leakage current. HFE of this is 16, I think. Yep. But here's the problem right here. It has 0.06 milliamps of leakage current. Alright, so that transistor is damaged. And like I said, I'm just guessing that was a section that was going into oscillation yesterday or last night. But whichever section it was, I'm pretty sure it's probably due to this section being inbound. So, I mean, I can only speculate from one of these sections being out of phase. It could have caused this issue, but I'm not sure. But now we're at a little brick wall because now we need to find you 2 more Toshibas, non-dots preferably, that match close enough to these 4. I'm gonna look through my stash, man. Wish me luck, man. I mean, I know I ain't got just 2 laying around. I might have 2 that I got saved for another project and another repair or something for a customer. But we'll figure out something, man. So we'll figure out a solution. I'll give you a ring. We'll see you. We'll be back. All right, brother. Well, we got lucky. Very lucky, actually. I'm wearing my head apparatus here, but I got you 2 transistors that are very close to the other 4. Okay, so with these being transistor Toshibas, that is perfectly fine. That's what I considered good and matched for used transistors. You got lucky, man. I did have to break two away from a set of 4 that I had that I was going to be doing a repair with, but I'll figure it out later. All I'm worried about is this repair right here. Alright, man, these are the silver dip micas that were going from the collector to ground of the transistors, okay? They do not match, so I'm going to have to get you match you out 6 of them, but just to kind of show you real quick, just so you can see I ain't just pulling parts off for the fun of it. Alright, that's 120. I am on the picofarad range, so nobody will get confused. I normally leave this meter set right here, which means this goes up to 2,000 picofarad. You see, we're at 120 NF, well, dot 120 NF, which is 120 picofarad. But I'll keep it right here. Alright. That one's right there at 120. That one's at 117. That one's at 122. Well, pretty much 123. 122.9. That's 117 again. You see, yeah. A lot of times with particular parts of, or shall I say, specific parts of the circuit, it's not a 100% critical thing. 122 to have all the capacitors matched. But I look at it like this right here. You get 3 2-pil sections, and you want them to be as identical as possible to each other. So it is the best way to do that is to make each of the two peel sections identical to each other, meaning the same exact value capacitors. 119. So they're not completely crazy apart from each other, but they are not matched for sure. So just to be on the safe side, we will throw you a matching set of 6. Where's my matching box here? Got me a little box down here where I already had. There it is. Oh, I'm stretching for it. And I got a little box here where I've already matched 120s. As you can see, whenever I get me a new set of 120s in, usually by the thousands, I'll go ahead and match them. It's about time to re-up. As you can see, these bags start off with are very full, about up to here. So I've got other various company manufacturers of 120s. I don't mix manufacturers together. There's 330s in here too. These are all my that's Mr. Geronimo's. I want you to know Geronimo paid almost $3 a capacitor for these 120s. They're 1%ers. So that's going to be using his 12 pill. Alright, man. I'll grab you 6. Let's see, we got 6 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Perfect. Alright, we'll be back. I'm about to drop the transformers in. Got your transformers wound and matched. Yes, I've got the transformers matched as well. The inductance of these 3 transformers are like 2% off from each other. And let's see, where's that other one at? I had wrapped 3 of them, and one of them was about 20% off from the other 2. So I wrapped me another one, and then they match. So yeah, I even want all the transformers being matched. You know what I'm saying? I want them to be reading the same exact inductance. Okay? You want all sections to be working as equal as possible to each other. I know I'm a little OCD about it. Yes, it takes more time to do all that, but it makes me feel better. Alright, we'll be back. Bye-bye. Alright, brother, got this thing all sewed up here. I went ahead and keyed it up and was beginning to tune the input. I got the input tuned out very good. And after I did that, I was just kind of checking around with some heat, and I noticed the output resistors here on the combiner were getting very hot within just a key or two. And I'm pretty sure, I think I figured out why there wasn't any resistors on here. It could have been a combination of the two things, with it being out of phase. But this ferrite that this combiner is made out of is a different ferrite than the others. This is all 61. The input splitter is 61 as well, and this ferrite is different. I don't know if it could be some 67 or something in between, but I am going to remove that and go ahead and make another combiner, and hopefully that will fix it. 'Cause, I mean, you should be able to key this box up and stay on the key for 10 seconds, and not, I mean, these will get warm. They'll get a little warm to the touch when you're putting some good power through this thing, but they're not supposed to get super warm just putting a 4-watt radio or so through it, or even a driver for 4 or 5 seconds. You know what I'm saying? So we'll go ahead and get that done. Hopefully it'll be ready to go then, man. I'll get this joker tuned out for you, man, and hit it with that driver over there real quick. And get the side back on it and get all the caps mic'd in. All right, bud, we'll be back. Woo! 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 Dog! Boy, I have never had so much labor in a 6-pill amplifier. This is, oh yeah, I'm lighting up a celebration sig on this one. Good God Almighty. I have never had so much labor, so much time spent on a 6-pill amplifier and a repair than this one. Let's have one of them tricky little hidden issues going on where you had to go through layers of issues to even find it. So it was basically a couple of issues added together and causing the box to not work as it should and be phased in as it should, phased together properly. There's been a little bit of time in between the last video. Sorry about that. I've been having some issues with this phone. I'm about to get a new one very quickly. It's just stopped recording. I think it's due to overheating or something. But there's been a little bit of time in between the last video and this one. This amplifier has been completely torn down to nothing but transistors and a relay again, and put back together again. The issue I was having in the last video is, as I mentioned, was these telltale balancing resistors. They're not really balancing, but they're there to let us know if there's an issue. Was getting blistering hot with the 4-watt radio just being keyed on it for a couple of seconds. I had to get in here, and I actually had to get in here and hook up each 2-pill section individually. I wish I was able to do videos of everything that I did, but I'll be honest with you, bud, I'm trying to get to vacation. My kids out there waiting on me in Florida, and I just didn't have time to continue recording videos through everything that was going on, so I'll just have to tell you. But basically, it consisted of about 3 separate days of working all night on it. To give you an idea, 3 separate days of working at least 6 to 8 hours a night to get this thing where it is now, working properly. Now, as you see, here's all the parts that came out of it, except for this combiner right here, which I built to put in the back of it, which it was not liking. This is the factory, the combiner that was in it. Something fell. What was that fell just then? Maybe it was my pliers that fell. Sorry about that. But anyway, first I was a little worried about the wires, if they were the proper lengths, because these boxes are real fidgety, but once you get them working properly, these bad boys will rock and roll. But they got to be just right. That's the only negative thing about these tune-ported boxes like this. They got to be right. Each section has to be working together in unison. So I'm like, well, maybe the wire is not the equal length, because, you know, these wires, or this coax, has to be exactly equal length as possible to the combiner, to the splitter. So now something did just fall just then. Oh, I know what fell. These beads are falling. I don't know where the other bead. There it is. Oh, I need to be careful. Ugh. I would have put them back on there, but this is actually not even 43. This is some other type of core. I had to let the old LCR meter tell me that, so I took them off. They could have worked, but I just wasn't happy with the inductance they were at. Believe it or not, they were lower than 61, and that's telling you something right there. So anyway, so taking the wire off, the output, they were not the exact length, but they wasn't super off at all. The input wires, these are the red wires, the dots. It was, one wire was a little bit longer than the others, but it wasn't terrible. But they were not the exact length, but it was not terrible. So at that point, I went with 50 ohm coax, which is what I really prefer with these type of boxes, even though you don't have to use them as long as you get that length perfectly. And it's best, I'm talking about the length of the transformer and everything if you possibly can. So I went with mini coax. Okay, and the issue was still there. The one thing I did notice was the input tune came down a little bit, which I pretty much guessed that was going to happen. But the issue was still there with these heating up. Okay, so next is this splitter. This is the best place for this splitter, away from the combiner and relay as much as possible. With it being over here, it can work no problem, don't get me wrong, it can, but you also can have some issues with oscillations, because you got to think all of the RF is coming to this splitter and splitting out to these two transistor sections, plus you got this happening, and this is happening all together right here in the back of the amp. I remember even Fat Boy made a change there after they learned that too, when they first started building their 6-pill amplifiers, and they moved their splitters away as well. And it's good to have that splitter away from the circuit, the combiner and relay is as far as you can get it, usually towards the front of the amp like that. So I moved, at that point in time, I moved this. This is the one that was already on there. And the problem was still there. The input tune still looked the same. So believe it or not, it probably could have stayed over here, but still it's best for it to be right here regardless. And the only thing I did not like is this port right here was quite a bit off in inductance to these two ports. You want these ports to be identical as possible. I know you can't get them exact, you know, that'd take a long time to go through cores, but you want to get them exact as possible. Everything in these boxes is best for them all to match. Every single capacitor in here matches identical capacitance. Okay? When I say identical, I'm talking about 119 picofarad, 119 like that. I ain't saying like 119.01, 119.01, 119, 119, 119. 990, 990, 990, or I think it's 995. I can't remember exactly what it was. I have to look back in the video. It don't matter, but they're all matched. All the 330s are matched. See, every capacitor that was in here was not matched, but that don't mean they wasn't matched when the builder put them in here. They could just have devalued through the amplifier being out of phase. The capacitor getting hot over time and devaluing. That's what happens with these boxes. That capacitance could devalue literally on the fly while you're using the amplifier. That's why the metals are great to go with, and I've been harping this for quite a few years about metals and everything, of how good that is. I will tell you, Mr. BBI, Mr. Luke Miller, did a demonstration. Yeah, y'all can shoot me down for this. I know BBI's got his haters out there. Me personally, I have never really done any business with him. I don't recall. So he's never done me wrong. You see what I'm saying? So, but I'll tell you this right here. He did a beautiful demonstration on how capacitors can change their value on the fly of getting hot. And that's why we that's why we use specific capacitors that we use. That's why, to me, if I was to build a competition box, I would build it with all metal clad capacitors everywhere. Because that knows when you get on that mall with that 20, 22 volts, or 18 volts, whatever, if there's any issue around that box at all, period,
I know those capacitors have a better chance at not changing large amounts of capacitance on the fly. When capacitors change their value on the fly, the box becomes out of tune. If certain sections are doing it and other ones not, the box comes out of tune and possibly out of balance on the fly. Meaning things can cool down, you key up again and it's balanced again. But these issues, when that happens, then it causes more heat. More heat can therefore cause higher SWR again. So it's double on top of themselves. Two bangs put together. It causes more heat, and then you have parts that fail. That's one of the biggest. That's why I have had a lot of luck with any. I've done maybe 6 to 7, maybe 8, somewhere around 6 to 8 builds with all metal clad capacitors, and luckily they're all still out there running as far as I know to date, and I'm in contact with at least 5 of them. There's 2 of them that I have not been in contact with, but the 5, counting myself with my 5 pill, they're all still in operation. But that doesn't mean it's something magical. I'm just using capacitors that have a better chance at keeping their value over time and also on the fly. But that's why we use silver dip micas, though, because they're the best at that. So anyway, every capacitor is matched in this box. Every transformer is matched. Okay, I even matched the transformers of inductance, input transformers. Even here, man, I mean, I want these type of boxes. I go a little bit extra trouble to do that with these type boxes, because each 2-pill section needs to be identical as possible. The only capacitors in this box that don't match is these 104s right here. That's just for filtering. Those do not have to be matched. That has nothing to do with your tuning. Those are just filter on your DC line. That's just for filtering. That's all that's for. Okay. So anyway, the issues were still happening after I'd done all of that. Okay. And I was really scratching my head at this point. At this point, I had not put these new transformers in. See, these are the transformers. I undid it, and I did notice that the transformers wasn't way off from each other, but they were not super close to each other in inductance. But I took these transformers off, matched these transformers in, and also changed the beads as well. And believe it or not, at that point, they begin to get a lot cooler. But still, I'd hang on that thing about 10 seconds, and that's just with a 4-watt radio. Blistering hot, man. There was one time that one of them was even blowing on me after I had done put the input transformers in. Come to find out, there was a tiny little solder booger, as I call them, solder boogers, touching the peel strip in between. And I'm telling you, you got to get down here with your eyeballs and look and see this stuff, you know, with some magnifying glass or whatever. But I saw that was happening and removed that, and that was good to go. At that time, I didn't have peel strips in here either. So it was still happening. Okay, so at that point, I'm sitting there thinking maybe the output combiner just needs more inductance. Okay, so 43 core has more permeability than 61. It just saturates quicker. That's why you don't see us using them a lot in output transformers. I ain't trying to give a full lesson here. So what I did at that point, this is the only thing out of all of these parts that's mine that I built. All these other came in the box. Okay, so I took this out and I built another combiner with 43. Okay, and it still didn't work. It was still having the same issue. In my head, I thought maybe it was a tad bit better. So I'll admit to you, y'all, old Gatekeeper was done. I mean, I went to bed that night saying I don't have time. I've never gave up on a box before, ever, except one box, and that was a personal 2-pill of mine when I first started doing this. and I'm just not the type of guy that gives up. I'll usually stick in there through it all. But anyway, let me hurry up and get through this, y'all. I'm sorry. At that point, I said, I'm going to do one last thing. I'm going to tear this box completely down, and I'm going to examine everything. Everything. I'm going to examine the transistors again to make sure nothing crazy has happened. And also, I'm going to throw down pill strips, because, you know, these things was etched, and I could tell, you know, there wasn't a lot of room to fit everything anyway. And you will never guess, after doing that, putting down the pill strips, it fixed it. There was some sort of issue, and at this point, I can only guess. I hate that about this stuff, but sometimes that's all you can do. You know that you fixed the issue, but you can only guess with the work that you've done and make an educated guess as best as possible. There was something going on with one or more of the pads that was not causing a direct short. But as soon as you keyed, something was causing it to be in balance. Not just one. It was causing the whole circuit together to be out of balance. There was a problem with I knew it wasn't a capacitance issue, it was an inductance issue, and I knew that. So there was some issue with that. It don't matter. I really don't care what it was. All I care is it's fixed. So that fixed it. And, you know, you just have to do what you have to do sometimes to get these fixed. I mean, you would have never known. Let's tear this thing down, throw pill strips. You know, you always want to try to get something fixed with as less work as possible to get it working properly, so the customer doesn't have to pay a lot of money in labor. I'm going to discount this greatly. I'm not going to make you pay for all that labor, but I've already talked to you about that. That's just the way I am. I'm not going to do that. And also, there's a few of these parts too, man, that are not bad. I'm going to take off of them unless you want me to send them back. There's quite a few parts that are not bad. All the caps don't mean anything to me. The wire doesn't mean anything to me. These transformers and everything, these transformers are still good. So I probably won't never use them unless it's a build for myself or something down the road, but they're good. And I'm not going to keep good parts. And also this right here is good too. I'll pay you for this. I'll take off for this too. And the only reason I wasn't able to use that because the output tune wasn't exactly what this capacitance was. I would have loved to have been able to reuse this because that's a strong part. But we got something completely adequate. That's a big capacitor there. It is a, let me see here. It's an N1500 5,000 volt cap. Is that 5 or 3? Let me see here. There's a 5,000 volt cap. That's what it looks like. I got some 5,000s and some 4,000s. I got a few 3,000s too, but these are them caps you see in them big tube type boxes and old glass boxes. They're real tough. Real tough. The only thing I always want to make sure, I will use these in 6 pills and below. Anything bigger, I quit using these and I'll go ahead and go to brass tubes or doorknobs. It's fine to use these in a 6 pill and below. 6 pill and a 4 pill is what I mainly will use these in. So they'll hold up good with those type of boxes. Alright, well, let's get on with the show, man. You got 2 other amplifiers. You got a candy painted 2-pill build, which I think you're going to be using the driver with this. And you also got a beautiful Texas Star. It came out absolutely beautiful. Beautiful. It really did. I'm not bragging. It really came out beautiful, though. I mean, if I was another person looking in on it, I'd be like, wow, that's nice. It's the first fan kit that I've done for a 250-350 setup. So, all right, man, I'm just going to show you real quick what this thing's doing. Just hitting it with a 1 pill on the 100 amp supply. It's sucking the supply down, all the amperage it can pull out of it. It's just a quick test just to show you the box is working good. And then we'll get this thing hooked up on the big supply over here. And hook up your amplifiers and drive it, and let's see what it's going to do with them. What you think about that? Alright, we got the hot radio hooked up to this bad boy. I guess I should hook up the bench radio and let you see the reflect. I'll make sure to do that in the next video or whatever. Anyway, it's the hot radio. We're hitting the hot radio into the driver right here. So we're putting about 100 watts peak into this. And of course, as you know, it can use more drive, but it's sucking the supply 100 amp supply down past its duty cycle. So it's just a quick key to shade. Everything's working good. Put you a new resistor down there on that 1K also. On the resistor, there's only a 470 on it. That thing would have blown eventually me doing all this. Anyway, RMS. Oh, see already right there, almost at 500 bird already, and it's sucking the supply down. Oh, 13.8, and of course the P. Oh, that's off the scale. 1,000 watts. That's just with a one pill hitting it, bud. These things will rock and roll once you get them tuned out right and you get all the sections and balanced perfectly. That's what my buddy Stick Man always told me. Now that he's out of this world, I'm going to share a couple of sayings that he always used to share with me on throughout the rest of my repairs and builds. And he did always tell me, this is his own words, when you get these type of boxes done right, this is an older school way of doing things with a combination. These are higher wraps as well. This is not a 3-2 ratio. When you get all this right in these boxes, they will walk the dog at any competition and will outperform many other of the 6 transistor setups that are out there. Many other. You know, he didn't say it just flat out. It cut off again on me. But anyway, that's what he always would tell me. It will walk the dog. Once you get them set up good. And I've seen it for myself. But, you know, everybody's got their own way and their own preference. Whatever works right for you is the main thing. Alright, man. Well, what we're going to do is I'm going to stop this video. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go finish the other videos of the other 2 amps first. And once I'm finished with them videos, I'm going to come back to this. I'm trying to get all this done, packaged up, tell you the cost and everything within about 3-4 hours. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but it's 3 or 4 hours and packaged up so I can get down the road for vacation, man. Hopefully I'll be able to do it. I'm hoping. So let me hurry up and get through all this. Next time you see me, I'll have all 2 separate drivers to play around with it so we can see what this thing's really going to do, and I have it on the bigger power supply also. Alright, I'll be back. Alright, big brother, well here we are. Turn that off so I can get a little bit quieter in here. I'm going to speed through this, man, because I have got to get on the road, brother. Headed down to Florida. We got your beautiful GK200 hooked up as a driver. Alright. Got your 6-fill hooked up. Let me tell you really quick, man. We talked on the phone. I could have swore I had another one of these fans. I could have swore I had one. And I did, but that's the one my finger got stuck in by accident and broke a blade. So here's what we're going to do. I put you another. I just went ahead and attached this to here so it can already be on it. Get you one ordered from ICA. They sell these exact fans, and get you to add it on there once you get it in. I mean, this fan spins real fast. I mean, don't get me wrong, but I would feel better if you had 2 of these on here. So we'll get it ordered from ICA when it comes in. You can. I know you're good enough to wire them up, and I'll walk you through it. Anything you need, any help you need, I'll walk you through it. It's all simple. All right, brother. Let's just stroll on through this. Got the 6-pill hooked up to a 200 amp supply over here. All right. We're just gonna hit it with a 4-watt radio first. Then we'll go through with it with the bench radio and let her be. All right. As you know, the driver is doing That's peak. Hold on a second. Come on, I ain't got time for this. Come on. About 80 watts RMS still. About 280, 300 feet. Alright. Alright, 6 pill on. RMS. About 500. The peak is off the scale. Let me switch slugs real quick. It's already performing very nice with the peak. Alright, this 2500 watt slug, okay, I'm putting in now. This 2500 watt slug, okay, reading the top scale. This is your peak. So right there, about 1700 watts or so. So that's rocking, man. Give me 1200 or so out of a 6 pill and I'm happy. Alright, I'm gonna hook up the hot radio real quick, man. I'm not gonna have time to show the your 250. I've got to get these things packaged up so I can get out of here, man. I'm gonna hook up the hot radio. I'll be right back. Alright, brother, you about to see what I mean by if you get these ported boxes just right, they get down. Alright, we are putting about 180 watts RMS into it now, because now we're hitting the GK200 with the hot radio Stickman modified. Alright, RMS. Alright, big brother, so that's right there. I'm done, man. This phone keeps turning off from overheating. That's good. I ain't gonna do it on the peak because it's right there, man, at about 1800 watts peak. And as you saw, RMS wise, pretty much 900 watts RMS, man. That's rocking and rolling, brother. Let's hurry up and get this top on here, man. Get this joker shipped out to you. Old gatekeeper set it out here around the northeast end of Georgia. Bye.